Everybody has memories about the gullies.
About the gully?
Yeah, all the gullies that we used to play
we
in.
had so much fun.
And how much fun the gullies, and what they meant to Fairhope, because it was unique that the children just used that as a playground.
And they used it as a theater on the down at the bay.
Yes.
That gully down at the bay.
Right there at the end
all the
of
Shakespeare
Street.
festivals were given there.
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn and I know that area beautifully. We climbed those banks when we were kids for years.
Well, not only for Shakespeare plays. Whenever we had company from Wisconsin or Chicago or wherever, we took them as far as the Edel place. And then we went down into the gullies and walked through the gullies. And you took all your out-of-state guests through the gullies with all the beautiful clay and the sand. Oh, it was really a wonderful trip.
And Big Head Gully was the largest gully. That was down off Section Street. And we climbed those banks and built caves in there. And that's where Gavin had the cave in. And he caved in on him, and John Boren pulled him out.
Mm-hmm.
They were on a school picnic. That was that gully was so good. Remember the strips of clay in the bank, the different colors?
That's where so many, well, they used to get the clay. Didn't they get it for the school?
Yeah.
From down in the gully?
No, I think most of the school, organic school clay came from Clay City.
Oh.
You see, that whole area in there is nothing but clay. Where the Jennings have a place down there. It was B.C. Anderson's place.
Yeah. But Gretchen Riggs asked me to get clay for a few years ago for the theater arts kids to make up their faces.
Yeah.
And I found all the yellows and ochres and different colors right up here at Effer Rouge. Mm-hmm. They had all those colors white.
That's where I dug the clay out that I did my modeling when I was doing it with Chris Stafford.
Mm.
And I got it, and it fired beautifully. They were afraid that it might, explode, might have some pebbles or sand or something, but it just did beautifully.
Was there a name for the gully that was at the foot of Oak Street?
Foot of Oak Street?
Well, you said the one on Baby.
Yeah, it's foot of Oak Street.
That's Sachs Gully.
Yeah, there's something called Sachs Gully.
That's Sachs Gully.
And Big Head Gully is over where, like Fairhope High, and then it became Fairhope Intermediate School. That big gully
Big Head Gully is down way down on Section Street and goes all the way down the bay, and it comes out, the drainage comes out at the condo there. As you cross that bridge where it all washed down, they got the concrete thing.
That was the fallout.
That's the fallout from Big Head Gully.
And the gully behind by Colonial Inn.
Colonial Inn. What was the name of that one?
I noticed they're cleaning that out. It looks like a gully again.
Oh, I'm so glad. I want to get in there and walk it.
I know it.
What was it?
I'm trying to
think. It'd be great if that's what they do.
Oh, it's right.
I'm sure they're going to fill it up with something.
Yeah, there was a name
concrete or something.
There was a name for it.
I can't remember what the name is. See, there was this.
Well, is that one that people played in? Where was the swimming hole? The treacherous dead man's hole. Devil's Hole, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Devil's Hole is up
where Frank Laraway lives. He owns Devil's Hole now.
Who does?
No, that's Bohemian Hole.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Devil's Hole,
there
was a terrible accident.
Devil's Hole is where
it's back of, up past Fly Creek.
Yeah.
And,
and Harry Pond's mother built a house right on the edge of
and of course it was a great, big, beautiful area.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
And that's where the Harper boy died, Dr. Harper's son. Drowned.
Mm-hmm. He had made at the school, he had made one of those things that go over your head.
Diving bell.
Diving thing. And he walked down into Devil's Hole. Didn't come up.
They never found the bodies yet.
No,
the diving bell came up, is the way I heard it, but I don't know.
We used to swim in there all the time.
There was an alligator.
Alligators in there, too.
There was an alligator in there, because I can remember we put a canoe, and we were canoeing in there one day, and there was an alligator. He must have been 12 feet long.
Was the Harper boy in your class?
No, he was younger than I.
I never heard that story.
But you used to be able to go in a skiff from Fly Creek up
All
to
the way up.
Devil's Hole. You could have to push a little bit through the reeds
We
and
had a
everything.
canoe.
But
that we
you could
paddled
go
up
all the way up in a boat.
And they said that
And
they never
picnic, we
could
used to
find the
picnic
bottom
up there
of
all
Devil's
the
Hole.
time.
Yeah, that was the
I have
way
a lot
it
of
was described.
pictures,
Couldn't find the bottom. That's why he had that
picnic
diving
up
bell.
at
He was
Devil's
going
Hole.
to go to the bottom.
Investigate.
Of course, yeah.
I remember the only time I played hooky was with Susie. And we went up to Devil's Hole, and we went swimming naked. And who was the baseball player?
Pocket.
Oh, Stanky.
Stanky,
Stanky.
Eddie Stanky.
Uh-oh.
Came along to fishing, you know, he's a big fisherman, and Susie and I were stuck in that water until he left.
I bet he knew it. He saw these two little girls' heads sticking up.
Well, we were swimming up there when we were in school, and that Pat Zimmerman came and took our clothes. And we had to wait till dark. It was dark to come out of the creek. It was just at the creek, not at Devil's Hole.
Oh.
Well, remember how Fly Creek used to be such a swimming place.
Oh, Fly Creek was wonderful.
Yeah.
And remember the little bridge that went across?
Yeah.
And I'd always go up on the bridge and look down to make sure there were no snakes down there before I went in.
Yeah.
Now, Charlie Carpenter's father had a store somewhere at the foot of Fly Creek. I mean,
Charlie Carpenter's
Well,
father.
now there was a little hot dog stand, a little tile building. That was our first yacht club.
oh,
And the little tile building was only about 12 by 14.
That was Mr. Schley. Remember Nellie Schley? Well, that was Nellie Schley's father that stayed
had-
down there in that little
Little hot dog.
place.
The first dance we had for the yacht club, there were about 8 couples, and they had a concrete slab out there in front of it, and we had a Nickelodeon down there, and this was like 1941 or 2, and about 8 couples went down, and we had our first dance at the yacht club.
Oh, I wanted to ask you too about all the dance pavilions there were down at the beach.
The
you know, like-
casino
Yeah.
was the
Casino,
number
and
one.
then there was one at Berkel's.
Did they have live music or was it jukebox?
Bands from
Oh,
Mobile.
yeah.
Crescent City from Mobile used to come over on the boat.
The Fondren boy, what was his name?
Jimmy.
Jimmy Fondren.
And then we also had the local band, the Lowell Boys, that played in
Organic.
between time.
Let's see,
Yeah.
Bun Lombardo they called Mr. Lowell because he had a bakery and he had a band, so they called him Bun Lombardo.
wonderful.
That was just terrific.
But the bands, did they just play on weekends or?
Usually Saturday night.
They always came over on Saturday night and played, and then they came over on the boat on Sunday afternoon. And
Have
we
an
had a
evening
dance
of
on
dancing.
Sunday afternoon, and they played for that, and then they played on the boat going back to Mobile.
And Burkel's was a dance place
Yeah.
then too,
And then
wasn't
later a skating
it? I remember
pavilion.
when it was a skating.
And there was also one down at Battles Wharf where
Where the Legion Club.
where, no, I'm talking about
Okay.
Battles where Moggs had a store there, and there was a pier out there, and there was a dance hall
A
there, too.
pavilion they called it.
Uh-huh.
A pavilion.
Well, that
Was
wasn't
that-
La Corona.
Oh,
No,
no,
no, no.
this is
That-
La
La
Battles.
Corona.
Corona is now the Elks Club.
Yeah, but this,
And
I'm
these-
talking about at Battles Wharf.
Well, there was a hotel there,
And a
Uh-huh.
big, beautiful long wharf.
but that's where you're talking about, where the
Uh-huh.
hotel, the old hotel was.
And that was where the-
Rennie Parker's,
You know who
Pittman.
lives there now? It was the Pacey. Remember?
Pacey.
The Paceys, and they sold it to a couple from England.
right, but Rennie Pittman told me that it was her family's hotel at one point.
The Parkers. Prince Parker was his name.
Okay, that must have been Rennie's father.
But even before that, who had the hotel? It wasn't Miss Grace Hutchins, was it?
Well, now, her hotel was a little farther down in Battles Wharf. This one was right
Well, now, yeah.
This one was right at Moggs' store and
Yeah.
Landing.
Right where Gavin Hunter was born. She was born there at Battleford.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He sure was.
But,
So all the
a little
way-
bit south of that, to her
Almost Point Clear.
right.
So-
No, no,
Okay. well,
no, we're not at Point
Okay.
Clear, we're at Battles Wharf.
44 is, goes out to the
No.
east of town, and then
But now this, where Deanie's house is, that was the lane, but then, and then there were houses there, the Delaplanes and that sort of thing, but that, just down at the other corner, the Kirkmans had a house there that lived in Whitney, Mississippi.
They called it Mog Lane.
Mog Lane. And in fact, it's still.
Yeah, I
you
was
know.
thinking I'd seen that sign.
Oh, Ms. Mog
but never
lived
could
to be
figure
what,
out.
100?
And they had a
MOAG or
store
something.
there, and,
oh, I've
then-
seen it spelled M-O-O-G.
That's it.
That's it.
See, I thought that was new.
Well,
I got it.
Moog
Oh,
synth-
Mog Lane.
synthesizer.
But it is blue, could be.
Right, okay, now I get it. I know, I've seen it too.
But they had a little grocery store there, and also the pier ran out from that. In fact, I have some pictures of that provision out there.
Seems like most of the piers where the boats docked had a hotel or.
Well, see, that was the only transportation to Fairhope. Everything that came to Fairhope came over on the boat. And there were piers all the way down. Point Clear, Battles, Fairhope had a pier.
Sunday.
Magnolia Beach, which is where Pier Street comes down,
Foresters.
where the
Foresters
the,
had
The
it.
Pier Street
Burkel.
Pier, yeah, people
Yeah,
always
that
talk
was
about the Pier Street
and there
Pier.
where the Grace Foster's son lives, what's his name, Charles Torrey, that was the foster home, and they had there next to the big pier that went out, they had a pier there, and all the oil that was brought into Fairhope came over there
On
to
their
that pier. And one time it caught fire, and those oil drums full of oil exploded and went up into the air. You could hear them all over the whole countryside. They would just boom, and away they'd go. That was a disaster, wasn't it?
So you remember that?
I surely do remember it, because we were at Englewood Villa, which is where the Baptist church is now. And right there, we could hear it. So we all ran down there to see, and they kept us away from the beach area.
Must have been exciting.
It was very exciting, but how terrible it
Yeah.
was.
Were there any casualties?
No.
You know? Just
Only casualty I remember about fire and on the beach was old Mrs. Burkel, when the Burkel pavilion caught on fire. She went back in to get her dog, and she didn't stop.
That was in about
Empathize, that would have been.
1950 or something.
It was 53.
Yeah, that was 50.
When was that?
I think it was about 53. We moved here in 52.
Oh, yeah.
So it had to have been, it was.
You remember that?
I remember skating at that skating rink, but I was
did.
later told it had been a dance place.
Oh, it was. It had a beautiful floor.
That's what
Oh, it was
It
wonderful.
was little tiny strips, you know. It was really a wonderful dance floor.
And that time Deanie was living down Pier Street herself, right?
Yeah,
And
her
that
family
When she
home,
was the-
the rental.
Yeah.
On the bluff there.
No.
Y'all lived on the bluff, didn't you?
No, Deanie, we're talking about.
Oh, Deanie. Oh,
Yeah, the
Deanie.
Windland, the
Oh,
house.
yeah.
The Reynolds.
The one they've moved now to this.
Well,
Oh,
now,
no.
That was Albert Reynolds' property.
yeah,
That's
but
where all the
it's got those
houses are
great
now.
big condos on it now. That was the old
Oh,
Reynolds.
they're not, yeah,
No,
but
they're
they're
individual houses.
No, they're just big individual houses. On Pier Street there. And
Did
they-
y'all know that Louise Dustin passed away?
No,
No, I didn't see it.
I didn't get the paper. This was in the Courier?
I knew she'd been really.
Fairhope.
Yeah, I
Oh,
read it in the paper this morning. Are we still being recorded?
Yes.
The Wheeler Mercantile Company is where Uptown is now. Daddy had a big
The
store
Plain
there,
McKean's.
2-story. And I can remember that when we go up there and when it would rain and the street, we'd have to take our shoes off and the mud would go through our toes as we walked across the street. And Evalyn's people lived down where Mary Ann's place is now. That was the big Berglin home.
Across from the 40.
Yeah.
Was the house there the 40s? When did that
No,
happen? When did that
Evalyn and I
happen?
walked the woods there and
They
picked
built,
violets.
in fact, we were talking about that this morning. That was a vacant lot and beautiful pine trees. And we taught, Helene and I used to gather violets in there.
We could pick violets.
And ride bicycles.
I
There
didn't
was a
know
little
violets even
footpath
grew
that
here.
went from across from Evelyn's house, the Berglin house, through there down to the little footbridge that went across the village, across that gully
Oh,
back
yeah,
there.
back behind the school.
And that's the way we got across there, because there, we didn't want to go way around this way and that way. And I remember when the children were small, and they played tennis over on the tennis courts. There were tennis courts across from the old Episcopal church. And I would stand out at my back door and yell for them to come home for supper. And they could hear me from my house.
From Liberty Street?
Yes! And they said, Mother, your voice carries so it's ridiculous.
Well, there were several hotels around Fairhope. There was the Gable and
The old
Over
Gables.
across the street
wasn't
from
that near
our
where your
place.
house
It
was?
was right across the street.
That's
from
where the
us.
little
Mrs. Cross.
John Buffet's place is.
Uh-huh.
The filling station.
It was Mecca Station later.
And the
Mrs.
next,
Cross, right
Mis-
now.
Mr. and Mrs. Cross are people I would love to hear
Oh,
you tell me some
Grandma-
stories about.
Grandma Cross was a doll, and that was there when I had my shop in on the corner there of Church Street and Fairhope Avenue.
You had a dress shop?
I had a dress shop, and Granny Cross had the hotel over there. And I can remember I was fascinated with her kitchen sink. It was about as long as this table, a porcelain sink, and about that wide. And it was all across that one part of her kitchen like that. And now Laura Fletcher has it on her pier.
She does?
Oh,
That
nice.
sink.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, Mrs. Cross used to serve meals there at the hotel, so we used to go over.
She was a great big woman, but and I don't remember him very well, though. Do you? She was the character. Then when they moved from there down to where
On Summit Street, the corner of Summit.
Summit and Fairhope Avenue, the old hotel. It was a hotel, and now the doctor's in there, the neurologist. What's her
Oh,
name?
that was a hotel.
That was a hotel when I lived here.
Yeah.
But in the old days it was
But
one-
Mrs.
the Fairhope
The
Hotel.
Masons lived there later on.
They bought it from
They
Mrs.
bought it
Cross.
from the Crosses.
Those little houses, right as you go down Fairhope Avenue, across from there, Canuck and those little,
And that was another little hotel.
yeah, was it a hotel?
Yeah,
And
it was a
was
hotel.
Some Canadians that ran it or something.
Yeah, Jardine.
But
Mrs.
I
Jardine.
know that they had that
And her
sign on
son
it.
moved down here, and I think he was out at Magnolia Springs there for a while, wasn't he?
On Fish River.
Fish River, that's right. Yeah, I remember Miss Jardine very well. And then next to, down there on the corner, across from where the Moyers had the drugstore, which is now the antique place, east of that, on that corner, which is now, I think,
It's a house.
insurance, was the old Malbus Bakery. That was the
Yeah.
Malbus Bakery, and had a restaurant. You remember that, Evan?
It was the first restaurant that Malvis had.
That's
Uh-huh.
right.
They were out here, of course, at the settlement, but that was their first restaurant and bakery. And it was a wonderful restaurant. And Mother used to let me
The
go down
Malvis
there every
wanted-
afternoon after school and have some of their vegetable soup.
Do you remember the stools there at the counter? Yeah,
Well,
it was
I
fascinating.
have a question about Fairhope Avenue. If it were not paved, how in the world, and when it rained and it was a clay road,
You see it all over.
oh, it was like having snow or
It was
ice.
mud, yeah.
It was muddy. It'd come through your toes when you walked
It
barefoot.
was muddy.
It just whoosh.
But I was just thinking of
And there was-
driving on it.
It was, there were tracks in it, you know, it was, it all rutted, all the ruts were going up and down.
Well, when we first went to Mobile, the road was so narrow that in places you'd have to back up and let somebody go past you. And remember going to the golf?
That was a day trip.
That was a full day's trip to go to the golf in a little Model T.
Because those cars did not go like we drive.
No.
But one of my chapters in my book, I take a walk down Fairhope Avenue as I remember it, so it'd be fun for us to do it going back another few more years. I start on the corner, on the organic school campus on the far corner there next to Dalga.
Yeah.
And I remember being some pine trees there, and there were always boys from Fairhope High that would come over and hang around with their bicycles, Jimmy Anderson and Richard Macon and those books. And I do. I think of them almost every time I pass that corner. It's a strange feeling in time. But then walking down the street, and the potato shed was across the street, and then you come to Cummings Hall, and that was always there. I'm told that was a movie house for a while. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think it was in the 20s or something.
That was Mr. Fuller had the Playhouse Theater down where across from Bill Boland's place there on the corner, and then later on he moved it up to that place.
Cummings Hall?
No,
Yeah.
not Cummings
No,
Hall.
to the
Where that place where they sell all the ham, across from the Jewelers.
Oh.
They're on that corner.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And the Creamery,
Yeah.
the Fairhope Ice and Creamer Company, was across the street from that, where Jewelins is now, right
No,
up.
Yeah. It was where the
parking
potato
lot
shed
is.
is.
The parking lot.
Yeah.
Ice plant was
Yeah.
back of that.
Yeah, I remember the ice.
And
But the creamery was originally down at the beach,
It
wasn't
was,
it?
Yes.
in 1908, my father started it down there, and in 1925, we moved up in town.
1925.
Well, I heard that it was the first creamery in the state of Alabama. Is it? I'll put that down if I can count it. And that's one
They
reason it was
also
such an
had
attraction.
an ice plant in there, and they made ice.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
I can
'Cause
remember
people
those
used-
big bat things down there where they made that ice, and I can see Levine right now in his boots way up to here walking back in that place that was all wet. And it smelled like ammonia to me.
Well, it was. They had some ammonia tanks for the ice.
They had to keep it.
Well, who grew the dairy cows?
Oh, the
we
farmers.
didn't have the dairy cows. We brought the milk in every morning by, to begin with, it was horse and buggy, horse and wagon, and then later on they had Model T's and stuff.
They had,
but the farmers all sent their milk in, but we didn't own any.
I can add a little to
My
that.
father had,
Mr.
farm, but he didn't.
Mr. Conroe worked for your daddy, and he had a little truck. And Ruth Conroe and I used to ride the route with him once in a while to pick up the milk. Then the farmers would milk the cows, and out at the gate they had these great big cans like this with milk within, and he'd put those cans in the back of the truck, and we'd take them back into the creamery. I remember that very well.
Well, and anyway,
Was it
so-
your summer job, or you just did it to have something
Well,
to do?
I didn't go with him but
No,
just a few times, but I can
we used to,
remember.
go out in the mornings, and Marvin, of course, would go with us, and they would pick up the milk, go to different farms. And that's when we first had Model T.
When Gavin was in business down on that corner, and he had Gavin's ice cream parlor, he bought all of the mix that he made his ice cream, he had this big machines in the back, from Mr. Berglin, from the creamer. And then he had the machines that churned it up and made the ice cream, and he sold ice cream there for years.
Ice cream mix?
Yeah.
Of course, we made the ice cream at the creamer, and Levine, my oldest brother, was the one that made the ice cream.
It was
It
good.
was wonderful, and
I
they
can
used
just
to make it in 25-gallon lots at that time. And, you'd stand by the machine just when it was ready to come into the can to go into the cold storage. And it was like having a wonderful thick milkshake.
Oh, boy.
Delicious. And then they did make the mix, and we sold mix into Mobile and Pensacola. And then they put their flavors in. The whole thing was ready to be.
That's what Gavin bought. He bought the mix, and then he
You put your
had a big
flavors.
machine that whipped it up, and put different flavors in it. And
Why do you think that has disappeared, this idea of having, well, we made ours with pure cream?
It's just not as practical.
And competition comes in with these great big companies, and it's just the little man's just pushed out.
It's the Walmart store.
Yeah, look at what Walmart's done to this area.
Well, I was thinking of Vermont where they still have the dairy cows are in the field, and then they have these little stands that the ice cream is
They
made
make
and
their
sold,
Uh-huh.
and they make flavors that, depending on the fresh fruit in season, and it's eaten within a week or a few days. It's wonderful.
Now, that is
Yeah, but it would probably end up being too expensive if you were going to make a living out of doing it.
Yeah. Just sort of a sideline.
Well, when I think about the homemade cones that we had that Mr. Stearns made for us, and we bought them in, he used those great big brown lard cans, and they were 500 to a can, and he charged us a penny a piece. And of course, those homemade cones were delicious, like eating a cookie. And with one great big scoop of ice cream, it was 5 cents. And if you wanted two,
A double dip.
You know who bought the irons in that recipe? Gavin. He made the cones for years.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, in the back of his Gavin's ice cream place. Yeah.
Well, I wonder.
I used to make the cones for the Stearns, Mrs. Perkins and Mr. Stearns had when I was a teenager. She had her back porch set up with the stove and the irons. There were 6 irons there, and she mixed the batter up, and we would make the cones. And you have to roll your hands, your fingers, with cloth because the irons are so hot, and you pour it. It's like a waffle iron, but the cone is about that thin. You roll that, put that in that iron, and you have to turn it so it was baked on both sides to see the heat was down. Then you open that iron up, and you take this like a cone thing like this, wooden with a handle. You put that there and put that thing around and wind up, and then there was a little thing up at the top that had 8 places where you stick the cone in until it cooled. Then once they got cool, then we'd take them out and we'd stack them and put them in these great big round tins. In fact, I've got one of the tins in my garage right now.
Well, keep
It's about that big around. It's about
you
that
can give
high.
that to the Fairhope Museum.
You know, I really should.
It's something that would be useful.
And it's too. And Gavin got a penny a piece for them. And he sold them to a lot of people.
Well, you still have that recipe.
No, he didn't. He sold the recipe, and I think he didn't make a copy of it. He sold it to somebody, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because he had to go to war.
Yeah.
He was one of the few. In fact, I think he's the only. He and Crip Gooden were the only 2 men with children that were called out there. That was 1940.
Did you see that?
That's when he sold his business.
We were at the Creamery.
Okay.
At the Creamery, and then across the street you had the building that had been made into the movie theater.
Yeah, that was.
That was where the Fairhope Cleaners or something like that.
Yeah,
Then
that's right.
the restaurant that became Dale's in the 50s, was that something? Remember that? It's now Jewel's.
Well, it was
that a
just
restaurant?
a little office building, and then,
So in the corner store, when you get to the corner of the intersection of
Gaston Motor Company.
Somebody called it the center of the universe, Fairhope Avenue and
Yeah,
Section
section
Street.
in Fairhope Avenue. That
Has
was,
always been the center.
you know, those are the lots, the 4 lots that the colony used their scale to for your taxes. And those were the highest
Those
paid
are the highest.
lots that you
Yeah.
had to pay the most money for those
Prime
4
lots, yeah.
And everything went this way. Now it's from the shopping center. The colony
I
does
didn't
it.
know they did that, but they reassessed it based on that corner. But there was always a dry goods store. It was Pitman's and various, I don't know, it was Crawford's store, and the pharmacy's always been there.
But
And
Evelyn,
then your dad's store
what was between? Wait a minute. What was between the Jewelins and the Gas and Motor Company? Wasn't there a little place that Harry Gander used to run, like a feed
it
store?
was a feed store.
Yeah.
And then also there was a little shoe shop in there too.
Oh,
Mr.
no,
Sturzel's was
wasn't that
over
on the
across
other
the street.
side though?
That's right.
Yeah, that was Mr. Sturzel.
And there was a little sandwich bar in there in the 50s.
Where Jewel's is.
But I'm thinking of
No,
over across the street
no,
where
there
the
was a
Village Peddler, where those things are now.
Oh, now that was the pool hall, and Harris Rockwell ran that. And his wife just died. She's 100 years old. She's related to Helen Dyson in some way. All right, that takes care of that block.
But we get to your daddy's corner,
Okay. The Wheeler Mercantile Company was Daddy's store
And that's,
on the
now, then
across the street.
It was McCain's
So-
Hardware.
Yeah, yeah, and then it was
No, it's up
Harold McCain.
Yeah.
But who built that, a building? Was that Wheeler?
That was an old two-story wooden building, and upstairs was a dry goods department. Downstairs was feed, groceries, farm implements, and they had a big,
It was a general store, really.
yeah, it was a general store. And the back, there was a big dock built across the back where the delivery truck, because he delivered groceries all over Fairhope. And he'd back that truck up and put the groceries in there, and Clayton Baldwin worked for him, and Everett Winters worked for
Did
him.
Lawrence Stubblefield work there?
No.
He worked for them.
Carl and Bobby Young worked there for a while, but that was...
I'm thinking of Mr. Stubblefield, Margaret Howell's dad.
No.
He worked in one of those stores, and it must have been.
I think it
at
was
Pittman's,
Pittman's.
yeah.
I think it was Pittman's.
Now, that would have been Cecil Pittman's father?
Yes. See, there were the two big grocery stores kitty-corner from one another.
Mm.
Pittman's used to be the Crawfords, didn't it?
And in the center was a water tower. Was that, do
Oh,
you
that
remember
was,
that?
that was before.
That was the water tower, and the railroad tracks ran up from the bay to
All
the
the way
water
to the,
tower.
Nancy, it was in the center of that intersection. And,
Yeah.
and for fun, the kids at Fairhope would climb up onto the water tower. And I heard this guy ask them, why'd you do it? Because there wasn't anything else to do in town. So,
That's about the
and like
truth.
Piney Gaston and that age, people used to climb up there.
Well, so they tore it down in what,
I don't
before
remember
your-
what it was
No,
talking.
no,
I don't remember the water tank
No.
in center town.
I do.
Must
You
have
didn't
been,
move to Fairhope till you were what, about 10 or so, or 8?
I was born in 1916.
But you weren't born in Fairhope, were you?
Loxley, but I came here when I was 2.
Oh, you were 2 then. I guess I'm thinking,
Evalyn and I, at 3 years old, were running away, weren't we, Evalyn? Ms. Berglin to get the police to go find us.
no, the Sadie, the cook used to come after us. Where were you running to? Do you remember? Well, down
We
to
went down to the
Simpson's
bay.
Mill, down to Simpson's lumber mill, which was way away from town as far, but that's where the post office is. And,
but think of where they lived when they were 3 and
And
4
how many
years old.
days did you and I spend down there at the bay when the Creamery was down there? Remember that?
Sure.
So that was your treat after school? Well, this
Was
was
before
Before
we
they
went to
started
school.
school.
We were just little.
You could
Yeah.
run all over Fairhope.
Yeah.
No one.
We probably were still in diapers or training pants. See, because we first lived, when we came to Fairhope, we first lived right 2 doors from the Berglins in the Powell house. It was a Powell house. Where the bed and breakfast,
is.
it was right, the next house next to that.
Oh,
We lived there. That's where we became so, Evelyn and I became so close, because we were just
across
right
the
there,
street,
'cause if she wasn't at my house, I was at her house.
yeah.
Because Aunt Eva and Uncle Adolph were like another mom and daddy to me. Yeah, and I can remember when Myrtle, when we were teenagers, and Myrtle had these beaux courting her, and Evelyn and I would just pray she would pick Jack Sly. Remember that? We thought he was the most gorgeous creature on the earth. He was a handsome man.
He was.
And
Who
that
got
swing,
him?
remember?
She did.
Oh, she did. remember how they sit in that swing, and you and I come there and peek at them. And I have a picture of you and me sitting on the front steps of your house holding Levine Jr. We called him Sugar Man.
Oh.
So he's a teeny baby. He was a little baby.
He was a baby.
No, we called him Sugar Man too.
I never heard of him called that.
And
yeah.
he was born in the hospital that was in Fairhope, on Fairhope Avenue, where the mortuary is. There was a big 2-story building there, and that was the hospital. And
Not
Levine
Fairhope
Jr. was
Avenue.
born.
Not Fairhope Avenue.
Not
Fairview?
Fairhope, Fells Avenue.
Oh.
Fells Avenue, where the mortuary is.
Yeah.
And also the little Shay
No,
Phyllis Dade. She was born at the same time he was, and I remember Evelyn and I went to see him. That 2 little darling Dade. We couldn't wait for Wheater to bring him home.
Do you remember much about the pine plot shop?
Oh yes.
and those ladies were from the early days of Fairhope.
Yeah, McCall.
Yeah.
Ellen Cole.
And old Mr. McCall was quite a dapper man.
Mm.
That was her brother, right? And he had a horse, remember the white
That was
horse?
Mr. Cole was her husband.
Her husband?
Mrs. Cole.
Well, see,
Well, one of them wasn't married.
one of them was the daughter. And
Oh, is that
I've been
right?
told that you couldn't tell mother from daughter.
That's
Well,
right.
they
That's a lot.
looked
So much.
exactly.
And you
Now,
couldn't tell
I
which one
have-
was the
I have given the museum a copy of the poem that Mr. Call, Mr. William Call, wrote about the young men in Fairhope. And this was Spider and the Deal boys and Vivian and Perry Gender and the Berglin boys and everything. Now, I've had a copy made and it's up in the museum.
Well, I'll go check that
And
because
that's a very interesting, because he took all the young men, he didn't mention the girls until the very last, but he didn't know much about the young girls.
Oh.
He talked about all the young men in Fairhope and what they had accomplished and like,
He put it in poem form?
Oh,
Yes,
how
it was in
wonderful.
my
there are a lot of
mother's-
cute little poems written
It was
in that
in my
day.
mother's scrapbook and
There's a-
I had, when I redid her scrapbook and just, last year, I took a copy of it and
How wonderful to have a scrapbook.
oh, mother's scrapbook goes back to
Aunt Eva was really
before they were
good.
married, which they were married in 1900, and this goes the whole history of Fairhope.
My goodness,
Oh,
that's
It is absolutely priceless,
it is.
wonderful.
I'm going to have a chapter called the Fairhope Reader, which I'll include things that other people have written from the past. I have some poems that Winifred Duncan wrote about Fairhope and a lot of people have written things.
Now,
So,
that poem of Mr. Call's would be.
yeah, that would be very
would be
and there's a little copy of a pamphlet from some writers group that was here calling themselves the Scribblers, and that poem is in, the pamphlet
Have
is
you
in
got
the
any of
library.
Piney Gaston's?
Yeah,
I've got
some
both
of
her
hers.
books if you need to.
Yeah, and she wrote a poem for Gretchen Riggs for her memorial for Gretchen, and I thought that would be nice to include. But if you have those old things, I'll be interested in them for my research.
Well,
But the Pine Flight shop it was essentially a gift shop, I gather,
It was a gift
It
shop.
was.
and they made the homemade things out of pine straw.
Yes, and they made kumquat marmalade,
And any
And
other
candied,
candy kumquat.
kumquats and candied grapefruit rind.
Oh, so they got the
I
name
still-
of the shop from the
I
Pine
still
Needle
make their
Basket.
candied
They
grapefruit
become
curd
quite-
peel. I
kumquat.
have the recipe for that. Yeah.
so that was it. But they sell the marmalade in little things that were covered with the pine baskets? Or they were?
I can't remember.
Anyway, it was a combination of pine and
Did they make all the Pine Needle Baskets for themselves?
They did that themselves. And
They were
Well,
originally milliners.
I think other people made some of those,
well,
Evelyn,
now,
took them
they
in.
did have a lot of things
'Cause
in
I
there
made
from
some of
other
those.
places.
I made some of those
That's right.
pine needle baskets myself.
Well, that's probably,
There's still a craft person in Foley making those beautiful Pine Needle
I
Baskets.
have a whole set of the hot plates of the pine needles
Oh,
that must have come from the contract.
and I guess the reason it was because our pine needles are the long leaf pine needles that
So
are not
you can-
found other places. Which is why
Long leaf pine.
long leaf
I
pine.
used to pick them up and they had to be a certain length.
That's
And
good.
we just wash them good.
You have to get them soft too, don't you?
Wash them, and you wet them when you use them to keep them from.
Breaking.
Now, when we made them, we didn't spray them with the clear polyurethane, but now they do. The woman that I got some love pine Matt's from used to do it, and she did the most beautiful pine work. Beautiful pine.
Well, one,
Irene Bell's the one that taught me how to do it. The teacher at the art school, at organic school.
one thing interesting about Fairhope Avenue, since you're talking about that, telephone house used to be on Fairhope Avenue, and the Lawrence family ran that, and, of course, that was when we first got telephones too, I guess.
I thought that was on Delmar.
Well, it was later on. But to begin with, it was on Fairhope Avenue, and you could call someone, like I might call you, and the operator, the lunch people, would say, "Oh, well, she's not at home. I just saw her driving down the street. I mean, not driving, going down the street." And so, I mean, this was communication.
Yeah.
And
They didn't really need a telephone.
And then
Just go
later
ask
on,
them.
they moved it back to Delmar, but to begin with, it was right there where the soda garden.
And she knew everybody's
Everyone.
business in Fairhope, because
Well, now
she
this-
listened in to everybody.
This must have been Ken Kane's grandmother, you know, on his mother's side. He was
Who?
a Lawrence.
Kenny,
Yes.
they were related.
Oh, but
They
not
were related.
that closely.
But this was Alta Lawrence, and I'm trying to think the old man's name, William and Bryant's daddy,
William and Bryant were the boys.
were the boys, and then little Alta was the girl, and she died.
Althea.
And Mrs. Lawrence was crippled. Remember, she wore the high boat with a brace on it, just like Gavin's daddy, Mr. Hunter.
And then there was,
Something
next to
paralysis.
that, there was a barber shop that was there for years.
Mhm.
And then the old Lowell Brothers cleaners.
And
Now,
there was
where
a,
on Fairhope Avenue are we speaking of, where the telephone company and the barber shop? and-
Right where, Kathy Lambert's is now.
Mm.
That was before the building was built that, had, the soda garden.
It was just little separate houses,
Little
wasn't it?
separate
Uh-huh.
houses.
And
They
you
were
see some
all
pictures
separate houses.
sometimes in there.
and there was a little meat market in there, and Hoppy Nelson ran it. Remember that? And he had, remember all the sawdust on the floor? And then later, Ellis McKenzie had a meat market where the Christmas shop is now, back to the fair.
I remember that.
And
Night,
those-
my black Labrador retriever on his rounds up to the school would stop in
And get his bones.
and
They'd
get
give
his
him-
bone.
Get a tree.
And over there on Section Street, the Greer's was originally on that corner of Delamar, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the City Market, how long ago did they change
That was
to the coffee
Rugy's,
shop?
that was Mr. Rugy's filling station over there.
Oh,
across
yeah,
on
there's
that
some
side.
filling
Across.
stations over there.
Mhm.
Where
And
the
then where,
colony shop.
where Betty Joe Wolf's place is,
Mhm.
belonged to my Uncle Ralph and Mr. Gaston's, Edie Gaston's sister, Dr. Crane, and another woman, two little old maids that lived, there were two houses there, and Uncle Ralph Young, Bobby's mother and daddy, and Bunny and Aunt Claire lived there. And then the little Crane woman, Dr. Crane, and the other woman lived in the other little house. And then where the big building there is, that's the dance place, that was the post office. They have the two-story where she has her dance
Oh.
upstairs, that was the post office.
That was
It's
a.
in Masonic.
That
Masonic
was.
building.
Masonic building.
Yeah, because it has the Masonic symbol there. Do you remember Madame Moorhead?
Yes.
Tell me about Madame Moorhead.
She lived down where I am now.
On
Just, no, around the corner on.
That was Woods.
Yeah, it was.
was all
far.
woods.
A mile from town.
Yeah, that
Well,
was
she was
way
in
out.
back of our place when Englewood Villa.
And, but now, she lived, just down on Fifth Street there, and everyone took their animals to her.
Gavin never liked her because she killed his dog.
Oh, she was a sort of a
She was
veterinarian.
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 And I'm told she made house calls riding a horse.
Oh,
She
yeah.
rode a
Why
white
is she
horse.
called
all
Madame
was a-
Moore?
She was
She was
German
from
or French?
German or something, I think German.
Oh,
And there we had another character too, was the bird lady, Mrs. Schramm. Do you remember her, Evan?
the red-haired woman that lived in a tree?
She lived in the tree.
On
They had a
Second
tree
Street.
house,
She
yeah.
lived in the tree, and she had a bathtub down underneath of the tree house. And she would go and take her bath down there, and we would sneak down there and hide in the bushes to watch her bathe.
Now, where was her tree?
It was down where, right in the area where the organic school is now, Marietta Drive. It's right in that area. And that was all woods.
No, it was towards Section Street.
Huh?
It
was on the
fronted-
Section
Well,
Street. It
uh,
fronted on.
Well, I'm saying it's in the area
Oh,
on
yeah.
Section Street where the organic school is now, Marietta Drive. in that
That is
area.
Section Street, yes.
I think it was just before the city warehouse down there.
And it wasn't that far, was it? But
No,
it,
it was up between Pecan and
whatever.
other streets that run through.
Well, was she just a single person who moved to Fairhope? Do you know where she came from?
She was a real character.
Well, I know.
I really can't. We don't know. I don't know where she came from.
And I wonder, well, Sam might know, but I've never heard anyone say where she was come from.
And everyone called her the bird lady.
And we had another character, was Otto Wint. He was a funny little old man that used to come to everybody's back door to get food. You remember him, Evelyn? And he would come, and Mother would feed him always on holidays, and he never would take a bath. And
So he was the town beggar.
on Halloween, the boys in Fairhope get together and they take him down to the bay and give him a bath.
They did this town a
Every
favor.
Halloween. Oh, that's wonderful.
Well, in my day, I remember a man, an older man that walked around town without wearing shoes.
That was the Weaver.
George, some,
Oh,
his name.
George,
You know who I mean?
not the Weaver. This was George.
Yeah, George. Do you know who I mean?
And he always sat on that bench where
His
it's in
feet
front
were
of.
Oh,
And they're
good and swollen.
oh yeah, I know where. Wait a minute, I'll tell you what his name was.
There were 2 or 3 of them that hung out together in front of.
Yeah, but this was Scundy Banks. That was his name, Scundy Banks.
That's the Weaver, or that's?
No, this isn't the
George.
Weaver. This
This
was
is
a
the shoeless guy.
boy that was barefoot that would walk around town and I don't think he was.
No, he wasn't.
Right.
He wasn't.
Like Bradley Titus.
Yeah.
But I think the man you're talking about had a beard and everything. didn't he?
No, you're thinking
Yeah,
of the
his
the
house.
hermit.
Oh,
The
Not the
hermit.
hermit.
You're not
Not the
talking about the hermit.
No, he just walked around town in jeans and,
Well, I remember.
That was Scundy Banks.
well,
He would always say something to me from across the
he
street.
tended to talk, you know, he was kind of, probably not all there, and that's all I know,
No,
but I
no,
just
it
didn't know
wasn't.
any, I guess nobody really knows much
There was
story.
a whole family of those Banks, but this one boy was Scundy was kind of weird.
He was kind of Scundy.
Perfect name.
Great name for him.